Welcome back. So, I kind of wanted to go over some more of my favorite music from the past month because while rap did offer some great singles and there was a couple of great albums in there, like the Odyssey record that I mentioned in the last video, I find that all other genres were kind of picking up the slack of what was a pretty lackluster January 2023. When you really consider that we had The Weeknd, we had FK Twigs, we had Gunna. There was a lot of stuff to keep us interested through January of last year. So I wanted to recommend some albums for you that are more low key and a little bit outside of the rap genre. But if you're looking for some new music, this is the great place to do it. So the first one I'm going to recommend is from a band titled Young Fathers, which have been putting out material for quite a bit at this point. But they just released their newest album. I think it's been in 5 years. And it's an album called Heavy Heavy. This album, I really don't know how to describe the genre to you. It has a very strong African inspiration to it. There's a lot of chugging beats. It's a little bit more futuristic sounding as well. It's a louder album. It's a little bit noisier. It's more experimental, but there is some really catchy elements to this record. And I've been following Young Fathers from a distance ever since they've been mentioned to me. And I remember listening to a lot of tracks from Cocoa Sugar, which is their previous album that I heavily enjoyed. And so if you're looking for more of a faster paced, I guess I would kind of put it in an experimental pop record. If you're looking for something that's going to have a little bit more of like this tribal, a little bit more African sound to it, Young Fathers Heavy Heavy is a great example. If you're looking for something that's going to change it up a little bit, it's engaging, it's exciting. There's some political angles to it that I'm just starting to get into as I'm listening to the record more and more. Highly recommend this album if you're looking for something in 2023 to start off. Next one I have, going something that's a lot more low-key, is Samia with Honey. So Samia started off the decade this year with, I believe the record is called The Baby. And it's very nice indie pop. It's very soft. It's very easy to catch on to. It's a catchy record. And the lyrics are quite personal. The lyrics are very to the point. There's not really a poetic feeling to these lyrics. They're very blunt, they're very honest, and you get that carrying over onto this album. The difference is with this album is I feel like there's more maturity brought into the lyrics and also from Samia herself. And then for the instrumentals as well, I find the instrumentals through this record are very frail. They're very moody, they're very quiet. There is some moments for the record that do kind of expand more into kind of the pop sound that Samia kind of got to onto The Baby. But with Honey, I feel like this is more of a maturation kind of album for her, and it sounds very nice. So, and I listened to it on the way here back home. I just on my car ride. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and it works very well. So if you're looking for a nice kind of low-key pop record, another great example is some indie pop, acoustic pop, great album to go to. My apologies. It took a lot to write this out. It is a very long title name. But this is an artist and a record that I found while I was just scrolling through Bandcamp in the experimental category, because I like to, on Fridays when nothing's really dropped, like this past week, I like to dive into Bandcamp because it does have a lot of interesting releases. And this is what it led me to. Has a great album cover. That's usually what I gravitate to the most, is usually some pretty captivating and striking album covers. This one has it, and this is called The Giver of Illness, A Mournful Kingdom of Sand. This is a desert rock album. This is more psychedelic. It's very instrumental. There's no singing throughout it. It also has a tag of being ceremonial, and I can kind of understand that because it does have some tribal chants in the background. The sound of this album sounds like a wasteland. It sounds like a desert wasteland. And it just is really captivating. It's really immersive. If you're looking for something that is going to really subvert your kind of music listening, if you really want to kind of put yourself into a setting of walking amongst like this desert, trying to find water, trying to find peace, trying to find maybe civilization. If you want to set yourself, want to put yourself into like this really immersive setting, I highly recommend this album. I think it's brand new, only has about 46 monthly listeners to it. If you're looking for something different though, highly recommend The Giver of Illness and Mournful Kingdom of Sand. Go look it up. Great record. One of my surprises of the year so far. Big surprise for me. And now, of course, I can't talk about all genres without mentioning this record right here. And I wrote it terribly. This record has been spreading like wildfire, and for very good reason. And I'm so happy that we have reached this point of this career. So, Lil Yachty, and I'm not going to talk about this album all too much because I'm going to be doing a discog recap, considering that where Yachty started from with Lull About One, and to get to this point, I think is something really interesting to look at. And what can I say about this record is that it's his best album, no question. It's some of the catchiest music I've heard in quite a long time. If this was released in 2022, this would actually be in my top 10 conversation still. Yachty has an instrumental progression that honestly is still crazy to think about, that we have got to this point and we didn't even expect this to even happen, especially me. I thought, especially after Michigan Boat Boy in 2021, I thought Yachty would at least experiment into more genres of rap, but going into a complete genre shift into psychedelic rock, into psych pop, into rock, this is just, it's still very, it's a lot to grasp, but what I can say is that the hype is real with this record. It's fantastic. It's going to stick with me throughout the entire year. The replay value on this album is insane. And I'm so happy that we are seeing artists, regardless if they're not good attempts like MGK, and even when we have the great attempts, of course, like this Lil Yachty record, I am glad to see that artists are starting to expand their sound and experiment with new genres. And sure, there's going to be rough patches along the way with some records and some artists, but this shows the capabilities of someone that wants to extend their craft, extend their sound, and this is how it can sound like. So I'm very impressed with this record. Probably my album of the year at this current point, but when you only have 1 month to go off of, what else are you going to do? So these 4 records here, make sure to give them a listen. Make sure just to give them a little brief look over. These have been my most interesting and favorite albums of the past month. Thank you for watching the past few videos. If you'd like to subscribe, if you'd like to like and comment, please go and do so. It's very much appreciated. I hope you guys have a good night. Peace out.